What's going on, everybody, and welcome. So in this video I'm going to talk about plugins, whether it's the stock plugins on your DAW or the ones you can buy or download. So basically, when you're making music, you have two types of VSTs. You have synthesizers and you have libraries. With synthesizers you can create sounds from scratch, and with libraries you have access to pre-made or pre-recorded sounds. And usually you have the option to reshape the sounds in libraries and make some changes. Now, when you're using a DAW, they usually come with some stock plugins, and some of those are simple synthesizers, and sometimes you even have more advanced synthesizers with many more options. Also, synthesizers usually come with presets, and especially if you're a beginner and you still don't know how to create your own sounds, those presets are going to be helpful. It's important to keep in mind that at some point you better learn how to create sounds and not just rely on presets, because when you know how to create sounds, your workflow is going to be a lot faster and you can always have the exact sound that you've imagined and not just spend a lot of time going through hundreds, if not thousands of presets to finally find a sound that is close to what you have in mind. Now, when should we use libraries? There are some great libraries out there that have samples of real instruments recorded in very professional studios. And for example, if it's a piano, every single note on that piano has been recorded separately, which really helps with the quality and makes it sound a lot more real. And sometimes they even record the same instrument with different mic positions. And also there are libraries that go further and have all sorts of sounds that an instrument can possibly make. And as we don't have access to all those instruments and those studios, those libraries can come very handy and make our music sound a lot better. Some of the companies that make those libraries sometimes put out some great libraries for free, and I really recommend you download and use them in your music. Spitfire certainly does a great job at that. And as for synthesizers, as someone who's worked with a lot of more advanced ones, I can assure you that it all comes down to your knowledge of the technology. And if you know how everything works, you can create wonderful sounds with even the most simple synths. And I really recommend you to put in the time and learn the stock plugins on your DAW front and back before you spend money on synths. Of course, if you find some free synths that you just find easier and more fun to work with, go ahead and download them and start playing around with them. I'm also going to talk a little bit about mixing plugins, and that includes reverbs and delays and compressors and stuff like that. I'm going to double down on the point that your DAW already has everything you need to make great sounds. Sometimes you might wonder why the compressor on your DAW doesn't bring out all the colors and character of your sound the same as an external compressor. And that's because that external compressor is not just one simple compressor, but rather it's a patch that includes a compressor, a saturator, and maybe a distortion. And all of those tools are combined into one simple plugin with one or two knobs. But when you turn one knob, it's actually activating three tools. And you can actually make a patch like that in your DAW. For example, in FL Studio, there's a tool called Patcher, and you can create very complex patches with it, and you can even create your own plugins. And actually, Patcher comes with many different presets, and it's basically a whole nother world in and of itself. And let me be honest with you, I'm not proud of how long it took me to find out about that world. And this goes about all kinds of different mixing plugins with different functions. So external plugins can save you time, but they're not necessarily better than your stock plugins. But again, if you're more comfortable with a certain external plugin and you can afford them, go ahead and use those. Okay, so that's it for now. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you find this useful, please consider subscribing to my channel. See you later.